Hello, good evening. I am Ajit Kumar Jha, the editor of the Public Global and the CEO of Power Pixar. And today I wanted to shift my video to the Middle East, the hottest region right now in the world. And I basically wanted to focus on Israel's attack on Iran, and which has been going on for more than a week now. And I wanted to ask this important question while I was going to do the causes and consequences of Israel's attack on Iran. I wanted to focus on the question: is America going to attack Iran, or will America simply negotiate or persuade, under threat, persuade the Iranian regime to negotiate with it and end its nuclear program, or the fear that the West has of Iran's nuclear program. They want to end it. So I wanted to focus the whole issue right there, the starting point of our analysis, and from there look at the causes and consequences of this massive instability that has begun, this war that has started in the Middle East. Now, let me talk about, let's say, simplify things and say what are the five causes that I feel has led Israel to attack Iran at this moment, let's say in the last 8 days. What are the causes of it? And one big cause, which we know because the Israelis as well as the Americans have specified it, they feel certainly the Israelis feel, and now it seems increasingly the US feels and the rest of the West feels, because we have seen the latest position switch in the G7 as well as in the US, that Iran's enrichment of uranium, which has been going on for quite a while, the intention is not peaceful, but the intention is to make atomic weapons, atomic bombs, and all kinds of speculations are going on. The Israelis say that if not stopped right now, Iranians have a capability of building bombs within 3 months, at least 9 to 12 atomic bombs. This is one narrative that has been pushed by the Israelis. Now, let's see what the Americans were saying. Ever since Donald Trump came to power in January, in the last, let's say, 5 to 6 months, Donald Trump had been arguing, and many of his advisors, that the Iranians were enriching uranium, but it was for peaceful purposes, not for war. And in fact, the Americans were kind of negotiating with the Iranians. But suddenly, when Israel attacked Iran, and you know the way they did it, I mean, for a war and strategic experts, it was quite a shock because, you know, the Israelis used Mossad. The Mossad entered Iran clandestinely, and after entering, it sort of started from inside Iran. It started this entire sort of missile war against Iranian nuclear facilities, and that has now led to several deaths. They ended up killing the entire sort of top leadership of the regime. Plus, on top of that, some of the top nuclear scientists of Iran, and they have done massive damages. And in fact, we have seen scenes of how people in Tehran, the city, which is almost, I think, 1 crore population, about 10 million, there's a total frantic sort of, sort of pressure on the population to get out of the city. We have seen miles and miles of sort of cars, people inside the cars trying to leave Tehran, get out of Tehran. So there's a panic in the country. Ali Khamenei himself, the leader of the supreme leader of the Iranians, is actually hiding somewhere. And of course, the Iranians have fought back. The Iranians have also attacked Israel, and there has been a certain amount of destructions and killings in Israel as well. The numbers keep changing. Therefore, I don't want to point out the numbers. At one time, 24 Israeli deaths, and then the numbers started trickling up again. And in Iran, we know more than 400 people died. Some say much more, but the numbers keep changing. But the point is, this war that Israel has begun, the main cause of it is the fact that they feel Iranian nuclear enrichment program is going to end up in building bombs. And in the Middle East, the Israelis feel, and so do the other Arab countries, especially the Gulf Arab countries, namely led by Saudi Arabia and the other countries there, for example, Oman, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain, or the 6 Gulf Arab countries. They are supposed to be, in a way, proxies of the United States of America. The monarchy in these countries are basically defended by the bases and the army of the Americans. So they also were always, what I should say, suspicious of Iranian nuclear enrichment program, the uranium enrichment programs. And they also do not support Iran at this moment. So in a way, Iran is isolated. Its proxies, Hezbollah and let's say the Hamas, has been almost decimated. We have seen the crisis as it unfolded in Palestine, and how Israel has almost pulverized the entire Gaza, and they have finished off most of the leaders of Hamas, the top leadership, and they have almost decimated Hezbollah. In fact, we have also seen Houthis from Yemen attacking Israel, but again, that is another area where we have seen of late the Houthis kind of weakening in a way. So the proxies of Iran have been decimated, as I pointed out. Number 2, Bashar al-Assad kicked out of Syria. He used to be at one time the biggest ally of Iran, supported by Russia, and he has now been banished to Russia, where he hides under Putin's sort of protection. So Syria is out. The Gulf Arab states do not trust Iran. 3 reasons. It's also a Sunni, Gulf Arab Sunni regimes versus Shia in Iran. So it's like a Shia-Sunni conflict in the Middle East. I'm simplifying, as I said. Number 2, it's also Arab versus Persian. Remember, Iran is a Persian empire, very different. They speak the Farsi language, the Persian language, and the Gulf Arabs and the other countries in the Arab world, almost more than 30 of them, they are largely Sunnis. So the Gulf Arabs, monarchies in this case, 6 of them, they don't trust Iran. They feel at the point when Iran will have a bomb, the balance in the region will shift. The balance in the region was supposed to be Israel on one side, the Gulf Arabs, Turkey, and Iran. So the idea is that if Iran gets the bomb, Iran will have a strategic advantage, a technological advantage over the rest of the Gulf Arab states, and therefore none of them want Iran to have a bomb. Now, neither does the Americans, nor do the Europeans. And remember, Iran is a member of the NPT. It is a signatory to Non-Proliferation Treaty. In the past, as I said, Trump believed and his advisors believed that Iranians' program for for uranium enrichment was for peaceful purposes, not for building a bomb. But once the Israelis kind of attacked Iran, as I said, in this clandestine manner initially via the Mossad, but then they ended up sort of almost doing a blitzkrieg in Iran. And it seems, for at least the time being, that Israel has the upper hand. Iran is at a disadvantage. The Americans have switched their opinion, and Donald Trump has openly spoken about that. Earlier, he was trying to negotiate with Iran on the nuclear issue, but right now he would prefer, after seeing the success of the Israelis, he would prefer a tougher approach. Maybe America is right now contemplating should it join the war along with Israel and start bombing the nuclear facilities of Iran. Now, there are 3, 4 nuclear facilities of Iran. I will not go into the details, but the 2 of them, one very close to Tehran, which is on a massive hill, and the nuclear facilities is supposed to be sort of underneath. Now, those the Israelis are not able to reach, and they want American help because the Americans have the kind of buster bombs which can sort of enter inside the earth almost 200 meters, and from there they can do a blasting. So the idea is there is another place called Natanz which the Israelis had targeted, but right now the whole idea is, can they end up sort of attacking those nuclear sites of Iran, which is deep under the soil below a mountain. So that is what so the Israelis need the American help there, and that's why they requested the Americans to join the war. Now, so one purpose, as I said, one cause is the end of the the nuclear program in Iran. In fact, if for example, like Iraq in the past, if the Iranians are not actually doing a serious work on nuclear bombs, even their uranium enrichment, peaceful that may be, is under threat from the West, because somehow the Americans don't believe the Iranians, the Israelis certainly don't believe the Iranians, the Arab states in the region don't believe the Iranians, and the Europeans do not believe the Iranians, as we saw in the G7 meeting. So as I said, Iran is kind of isolated. Perhaps the only partners that Iran might have in its support are China and Russia. They are not very aggressive right now, but statements have come out from the Chinese Communist Party leaders, not at the top level, but at the kind of, let's say, the number 3, number 4 positions. The Chinese Communist Party has said that don't think Iran is isolated, that it will have support, from some quarters. Obviously, they mean themselves. India is in a position where it doesn't take sides. We know that India under Narendra Modi is very close to the Israeli regime, and was equally close to Americans, of course, with the coming of Donald Trump and his intervention in India-Pakistan war. There has been a bit of tension there, but India on the whole is in the Western camp. It's more seen an ally of the US and Israel. Of course, India has very strong cultural ties with Iran. It also has, massive dependence on the Strait of Hormuz. 25% of oil that we get in India, 80% of that is imported and 25% of that comes from the Strait of Hormuz. So if the war takes place and oil facilities are affected in this region, which it is bound to be, because Iran not only has enormous oil, it also has very large LNG gas underneath that oil. So if that is affected, then oil prices are going to shoot up in a major way. And that will have a great impact on inflation in general inside India, all the world over. The oil prices might shoot up, at least in the short term. People talk about $120, maybe $150 a barrel, and that is going to devastate the world economy, which is very fragile, which is almost teetering on the brink of a collapse. In fact, America is supposed to enter recession. Europe, many of the countries are on the verge of recession. And if this war continues, given the fact that there is global trade war going on, tariff war going on, announced by President Donald Trump, I feel that we are heading towards a disaster. Remember, I'll make another video on this entire issue, a bit of history and a bit of its long-term consequences. But remember that the killing in Sarajevo of a prince in 1914 started the First World War. And it was this region which has always been at the center of tension. This region which is there between the five seas, if you want to put it, the Caspian Sea, the Red Sea, the Black Sea in this case, and the Persian Gulf. These four are at the center. You'll see most of the crisis in the world emanating from this region in the past. So my point is, if this war were to continue, if President Trump decides to bomb Iran, the consequences won't be as simple as what we see today. The consequences could be long-term. It is going to devastate the region. It might spill over into a much bigger war. If the Chinese and Russians decide to come and support Iran, it is bound to make this into a massive conflagration. And the fear might be that we might be heading towards a third world war in a nuclear world where a lot of nuclear powers are involved. So are we going to have another nuclear war? Are we going to have a third world war? Depends on what happens in this region, depends on what the Americans and Israelis plan to do. Let me end here on this negative note. I think in India we should pray and sort of try out all diplomatic facilities to have a peaceful resolution to this crisis. As Prime Minister Modi said himself, this is not the era of war. This is the era of peace. This is the era of diplomacy. So India should be doing that instead. Let me end here. Thank you very much. And we'll make another video on this subject since it is so crucial to the future of the world. Thank you.